Amid the Judean mountains, between the Mediterranean and the Dead Sea, lies the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. The earth beneath this ancient city has served as the foundation for mosques, churches and temples since the 4th millennium. Dispute for control of this sacred land dates back thousands of years. A small group of adventurers want to make a statement of peace. They plan to go to the roof of the world to do it.
My friends' attitude towards my project to climb Everest, some of my friends were against it. They didn't see how I can cooperate with Israelis who are our enemies, and it made my task a little bit more difficult. So it was, when I mentioned the subject, they were very upset that I'm going to cooperate and do something friendly with an Israeli climbers, such as climbing Everest.
Behind the border with the people, and people that want just to live, and that's what it's much more clear to me now, that the Palestinian and the Israeli should live together. I've been a soldier, I don't like it. I'm a climber, and I just want peace.
I think that the change can come, but it can come only from Ali's side. I mean, if Ali does something, if he changes something with Ali and he is able to spread it a little bit, then this will be something, you know? But, well, I'm trying to do the same on my side. Some of my friends that were not very happy that I was in a joint effort with the Palestinian to do something, they're now a little bit different.
The journey from ancient city to ancient peak begins at a training site in the desert.
I feel very sad for my Palestinian brothers and sisters. And although I live in the United Arab Emirates, I feel a strong connection to them and to the land. In 1948, my father's land was taken from him by the Israeli government. This was our land, by our rights, and it's now gone. I hope one day to go back and visit where my father used to live. It's part of our family history and heritage, and I feel our family still feels connected to that land. I think it bothers you if you see development in the West Bank or...
No,
I think it's against your principle.
No, it's
but
not
there
against.
Is no development. All the money goes somewhere else.
Israeli wish that it will be the situation. Okay, wish, because then we can stop invest in the war and to defend ourselves and start to go to take this money and go to do other things.
I care about Palestinians, believe me. I can be responsible or partially responsible for Palestinians.
You stop the influence of the radical...
How do we stop them? By shooting them from
F-16s
in Gaza while they are
you
still
don't.
alive?
Ali, is this my problem? Am I supposed to stop them?
Everest is a big mountain. It's a difficult task to conquer or to achieve. Exactly like peace between nations who've been fighting for 50 years. It is a very difficult task to bring them down to a table where they can agree on points. So if we manage to do that on Everest and convince each other that Everest is unachievable with two different nations, I think we are bringing the peace process closer.
I was in the special forces in Israel. I'm much more a climber than a soldier. You have to be prepared in each moment to die, to defend your country. And this is the terrible thing, I think, in living in Israel and to be actually Israeli. Because you have normal life, you climb, you meet people from all over the world, and you meet Palestinian, you become with friends, but then you come back to your reality, which is very, very bad reality sometimes.
Micha's Jewish and proud of Jerusalem's past. Walking down these streets is like traversing the history of religion.
I've been looking up at mountains for almost 20 years now, and that's what I do all the time. So in a way, I've discovered myself 20 years ago, and I just get reassurances. Yeah, I do think a non-violent approach might have some impact, but it needs people who are patient. And here in the Middle East, no one's really patient. Everyone wants everything to happen very quickly and be very effective very quickly and use power, force, I don't know what. So, but in my opinion, it's definitely worth a trial. Both Palestinians and Jewish people think that this country belongs to them and not to the other side. And I think it belongs to both sides. There are no sides. People should be able to find their place.
Patience, cooperation and teamwork will get these three climbers to the summit of Mount Everest. In the United States, Lance grew up without war or conflict. As a theology student at UC Berkeley, Lance developed a great respect for the religions of the world. When he moved to Nepal, he was inspired by the devotion of the Buddhist and Hindu practitioners there.
I made Kathmandu my base camp and went on a several-month-long pilgrimage. And as I was overlooking this amazing valley from a mountaintop in Ladakh, India, I became inspired to create the Everest Peace Project, peace organization, and a Climb for Peace expedition to the summit of Mount Everest that included people from different faiths and cultures. With all the conflict that had been encompassing the globe, I thought this climb could inspire and perhaps even bring about some much-needed peace to the world.
It's through actions of peace that peace is spread, and I think what our Everest Climb for Peace is just one big inspirational action in which people can look to and go, wow, you know, those guys really did something meaningful. They overcame their cultural, religious, societal differences, and they bonded together as this group. And through teamwork, through friendship, they climbed that mountain and they climbed it together. You know, we're going to be sleeping, working cooperatively together under some of the most harshest conditions in the world. And so I think the message is clear that in an atmosphere of peace, people can do amazing things.
Nine climbers of 5 different faiths from 7 countries will attempt to reach the summit. Along with them, they'll bring an Israeli and Palestinian flag that's been sewn together. The capital of Nepal sits in the ancient Kathmandu Valley. Hundreds of temples, both Buddhist and Hindu, have emerged from the densely populated chaos. .5 million people live here at an altitude of 4,200 feet. From the US and Europe, it can take up to 24 hours to get here. Despite the distance and the soaring poverty rate, Kathmandu is an international city regularly filled with climbers, adventurers and religious pilgrims from around the world. The remaining expedition members arrive in Kathmandu. For some, it's their first meeting with their fellow climbers. They've come from all over the world to take part in this historic event. Originally from New Zealand, Jamie McGuinness now lives in Kathmandu. He's a professional guide who leads expeditions in Tibet and Nepal. This will be his 16th climb above 26,000 feet. American Tonya Riggs wants to join the select group of US women that have summited Mount Everest. Namgyal Sherpa from Nepal is the Sardar or head Sherpa of the expedition. Namgyal is a rising star in the Sherpa climbing community. And if he makes it to the summit, Sele Selemolela will be only one of a handful of South Africans to summit Everest. Along with Lance, Micha, Dudu and Ali, the climbing team is complete.
I'd like to add another point. I read a lot of books about Everest. I mean, the preparation and the acclimatization and the build up to the summit day is 90% of the time that we spend on the mountain, and that is all team efforts. The summit day may be an individual thing that you have to think about yourself. So out of the 60 days that we're going to be on the mountain, there will be 90% of that we're going to be together, preparing together, acclimatization together, and so on.
You know, Ali, Micha, Dudu, although they're friends and they get along, there's still a large gap there that needs to be closed and explored. I think there's still a lot of anger and frustration on both sides, which is with what has been going on in Palestine and in Israel. And I think there's some potential explosive conversations ahead.
Ali is not willing to accept me or the Israeli flag or whatever. This really pisses me off because they say, we're interested in a peace project, but if there's an Israeli on board, then we're out of. They let them through. They let them through. They're Palestinians. I'm not very happy.
Well, you're not very happy. You're not 100%.
No, not about this. You totally misunderstand me. Totally.
Am I concerned? Sure. But I think that they're all, mature guys, and I think that they could probably, if things go well, become even closer friends. And I guess that's the task, is to see if they can truly overcome their differences.
The climbers wind their way towards Everest, leaving Kathmandu behind them. In 4 days, they'll gain an altitude of 13,000 feet, acclimatizing as they go. The caravan of climbers continues to snake their way through small villages and towering snowbanks. In Tibetan, the word for Everest, Chomolungma, means goddess, mother of the earth. Just outside the village of Tingri, they get their first glimpse of the goddess.
We have reached considerable height. We passed yesterday a 5,000 meter altitude, and now we are acclimatizing in this village.
We're spending 2 nights here, which is really nice because this altitude is giving some people some headaches and a little bit of altitude sickness, so it's nice to have a rest day.
The first moment that you feel, wow, I mean, amazing place. So I think it was now in Tingri. I just look around and I see all the plateau, all the mountain around. So yes, this is an amazing place.
There's been also kind of a cultural learning experience type of thing, just meeting the people. And yeah, most of the people that I've seen, they're shocked. They haven't seen a brother with dreadlocks, and the response and that I've been getting has been quite phenomenal.
Base camp sits on the terminal moraine of the Rongbuk Glacier. Despite the wind and the desolate landscape, the climbers are excited to be here. Formed 60 million years ago, Everest has witnessed the birth of Buddhism and Hinduism. More than 2,500 people have made it to the summit of Mount Everest. Some 200 have died trying.
Coming here to the memorial, which honors climbers that have died on the mountain, really puts things in perspective of what we're up against. For all those who've come before us, and for those who have lost their lives in wars and conflicts across the world, I hope this climb honors them.
Basically, we need the harness to do. I'm basically here to climb, and I think that as having this, the multicultural idea as a bonus is very good. I'm a little bit skeptic about how much difference it's gonna make to the rest of the world, but even if it's gonna make a very small difference, then it's good. And I like my name and my personality to be associated with that. If I could have one idea that I could pass on to both Israelis and Palestinians is that on the other side they're just people, just like them or just like us, and it's very easy to become friends with people. It's very hard to make peace between governments. For me, this is the main thing that should come out of this project.
While at base camp, the climbers test their equipment and continue their acclimatization. Advanced base camp is 4,000 vertical feet above them. After the climb to ABC, they'll come back to base camp to recover. While the climbers rest and acclimatize, the Sherpas continue to work. They're high above the rest of the team, fixing ropes and preparing the route for the climb.
Once on the mountain, we have to manage things a little more carefully, and it's surprising just how much work goes on behind the scenes, mostly not even with the leaders, but between the Sherpas, the Sirdars or the head Sherpa, or climbing Sherpa of each group. And they work out between themselves to leave enough tent space for other teams. You know, if somebody's taking too much up, a few others will say something, sort it out.
The Sherpa people are indigenous to the Everest region. More Sherpas have summited Mount Everest than any other group, and they have the unique ability to climb at high altitudes. They are by far the strongest climbers on the mountain. Without them, most Western climbers would not reach the summit. The trek to advanced base camp is a grueling 15-mile journey.
This is a really tough walk. We're going from base camp, 5,150 meters, up to advanced base camp, 6,400 meters approximately. That's 21,000 feet. It's a very, very tough walk over 2 days. Not many good places to stay in between.
Ali is making slow but steady progress. At this altitude, it's normal to feel sick. But as he climbs, Ali is getting worse. Jamie keeps a close eye on him.
Now, last night, Ali felt very rough. He vomited. That's more than likely altitude sickness. We should attribute it to that, if nothing else. So he's having a hard day.
I feel exhausted. Never like this before.
We have several different options. One is to bring down a tent and leave and make a temporary camp just 500 meters from here perhaps. The other is to get him to ABC. If he's feeling good, that's great. If not, We might have to stick him on oxygen for an hour or two. That'll perk him up and then he should be okay after that.
But one thing about Ali, he's a very determined and strong guy, and each step he makes, it's a personal elevation gain. His heart's just fully into this, you know. He's happy each step he makes because it's his own personal record, and so I just feel proud of him, and you know, I think he is in his own way kind of a hero, that he's doing this for the sake of trying to make a statement, and he's risking his life, you know, to try to make a statement of peace.
At these heights, altitude sickness can get serious very quickly. Ali's at risk of high altitude pulmonary and cerebral edema. Both conditions can be fatal. Ali knows he could die.
We're sitting at ABC now, 6,400 meters, about 21,000 feet. We've taken yaks up here to bring everything up. We've just carried packs, our personal packs up only. It's really quite amazing when you think about it. That's higher than McKinley, and we took yaks up here. This is where the real climbing starts. So at the moment with the team, we're spending a little bit of time here getting used to the altitude. We've had a couple of days rest. This is near the end of the second day. Tomorrow we're going to start heading up to the bottom of the fixed ropes, start working our muscles, start working our lungs, and from here on in it's just more work. And the whole idea at the moment is to get acclimatized, to get strong, to get used to the altitude, to get comfortable with your gear, everything, so that we can acclimatize now, we can feel good, we can come back down, perhaps we'll stay here, perhaps we'll go down to base camp, and then we're ready for the summit.
With some rest and a little oxygen, Ali starts to recover. With the team's acclimatization complete, they descend to base camp to rest and wait for the right time to summit. After a few days at base camp, the climbers become restless. They pass the time by exercising and getting to know one another better.
Can you do that? You got it.
Ali.
Wait,
Ali?
That's it.
It's not-
Ali.
Yeah, very good. You have to really think. Slight bend. Boing.
Almost.
No.
What? No.
No, I can't do that.
When I was in a soldier, I was in a special forces, and I spent some time in Gaza Strip. And Ali doesn't know that I was a soldier in special forces, and I'm a little bit concerned about how I'm going to discuss with him about this fact.
Dudu, I didn't know he was a special force and he was involved in, activities outside Israel. Yes, I mean, it's a touchy subject for me. It's not going to affect how I feel about Dudu because I still know Dudu is a human being that is, okay, he was a soldier like 99% of the Israeli kids. They graduate from high school and they enroll in the army. I mean, that's the possibility that he's not an army or a soldier is very rare. So I have to accept that fact that every Israeli, woman or man, has been or was involved with the military at some stage. Let's not talk about the aggression.
Why not? Why
Let's not talk about the
But
fight.
you're talking about the aggression.
The fight is on the territorial lines. There are people crossing.
Ali, but you are talking about the aggression.
And I'm talking about the whole picture. I'm talking about a policy that Israel is following and the people. You take these.
But why are you
Palestinians-
talking just about the Israeli policy? I'm saying it's also a Palestinian policy.
If I was Israel, I will give an example. I will give an example. Why can't Israel, with all its wealth,
Okay, you are not Israel, you are Palestine. Why don't you give an example?
what we are doing is really a big task. I mean, to climb such a mountain is not an easy thing. It's one of the hardest things on earth you can imagine. So I can relate this topic or this project to what is happening in the Middle East and our problems in the Middle East, which is between the Arabs and the Jews, between the Palestinians and the Israelis, between the West and the East, between the Muslims and the Christians. It is a big problem that's happening, and it is not to be taken for granted. We have to really look at this big issue, the conflict in the Middle East, as something as big as Mount Everest for us to climb. So we need to show the people just a small example that a big task can be resolved or can be made simple by starting the first step.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن داود בורא נתן נביא אשר בא אל בת שבע הנני אלוהים בחסדך כי רוב רחמך נכה פשעי הרב ירדפני מעוני
Before they attempt the summit, all conditions must be right. 5 days of good weather are needed for the climbers to position themselves for the final push.
A lot of people think you can pay $60,000, come to Everest and climb it. And that's the general perception out there. It really is a difficult, challenging mountain. There is no question you can die up there. Approximately 4% of people who try do die. 4%, almost 1 in 20. Hard to believe. When you look around the base camp, you look through the camps, you think, well, just pick some random person, they're dead. It really does happen here. This really is the highest mountain in the world, and it really is tough up there.
I would be stupid if I didn't have any fears, I think. I'm afraid the weather's gonna go bad on us, just like all of a sudden. I'm afraid that the waiting is gonna wear us out.
Of course I fear someone getting hurt, anybody. That's a constant fear. Anybody on the mountain for that matter. I'd hate to witness it, hate to see it, hate to be a part of it.
I mean, there are some limits, you know, to your strength, to just generally your health. So, I mean, that kind of puts, you know, a focus on, especially going up, you know, you need to be much more focused, you need to be much more careful, you need to just look after your body. I mean,
100%, I feel there's a sense of team cooperations for sure. We have a family, I have a connection to this team.
Now it's the moment that we really have to be strong.
I never thought that I will have Israeli friends who will help me and assist me on something like this. And we're sharing very close moments together on the mountain, which is surprising. I never thought it will happen when I was a kid, you know. They're always our enemy, and they know that, and we know that. But now it's happening.
Be safe.
The climbers begin their summit push. Lance stays behind at ABC to man the communications, relay weather updates, and be the main support in case something goes wrong.
Okay.
Be safe.
This will be the first joint Palestinian and Israeli expedition to the summit of Mount Everest. If all goes well, the team will make history. As the climbers scale the head wall, they're on 30 to 50 degree slopes on a 1,400-foot sheet of ice.
it's quite daunting, knowing that there's still miles to go to the top.
Climbing with fixed ropes makes progress exhausting. though Ali recovered from his altitude sickness down at base camp.
What you feel, Ali?
Back at this altitude, he's feeling the effects yet again.
So slow, I don't have the capacity of air in my lungs to... Okay, Dudu. Yeah.
Ali's quest to be the first Palestinian to reach the summit of Everest is over.
Ali, he knew his limits. He turned back. I'm so grateful that he really understood what he was doing, how far his limits were, what value the mountain is versus his family. The mountain is nothing, yeah. Not everyone thinks like that, yeah.
He talked to his wife actually, and I think he asked her if it's okay to quit because his lungs is not good, and I think it's up there, it will be worse. And he has 3 kids, wife, family. He don't want to die, and he's right, he don't want to die. And he did what he can. I admire him for it. I mean, he's a great guy. So that's it for me. I spoke to Sandra, I told her either I come back now or I will never come back from the top. She said, now you come back. And that's it. So I can't say any more, lads. Sorry about the project. I wish them all the luck. And this is what I have to settle. It's not easy out here.
We're at North Col on our summit push. We're going to spend the day here relaxing, acclimatizing a bit. The logic behind that is if we're acclimatized to this altitude, when we go up quickly, it'll take us longer to get sick, and hopefully we won't get sick at all once we put the oxygen on. But get strong here so that we can go up high. As you can see, there's a huge line of people going up to Camp 2. We're going to avoid the crowds and go a day or 2 later.
Isn't that odd? That I'm the hottest I've ever been on Mount Everest. Go figure.
This climbing season, over 500 people will attempt to reach the summit. The flag he's carrying with him motivates Micha to continue climbing. Micha struggles, but continues upward. On Mount Everest, storms can appear out of nowhere, making the climb more difficult and deadly. Above 26,000 feet is called the death zone. The climbers are at altitudes comparable to those reached by a 747 mid-flight. Tanya crosses paths with Vitor Negretti, an Everest veteran from another expedition.
We were halfway up, and Victor came up behind me, and I could tell something was really wrong. And I said, Victor, how are you? He's just sat down, and he said, we lost 2 of our team today. He said it was Dave Sharp. And I knew Dave had climbed with Jamie, and I knew they were good friends. And another team member came down that was with David that has frostbitten hands really bad. And then at about the same time, the Sherpa that tried to save Dave's life came down, and he was upset. We all sat with him for a while, and he said he did everything. He died this morning. So it was a long trip to the Camp 2. It's, you know, people die on this mountain, but not people you know. So it was hard. And I forget where he's from, but I know he's from the United States. He was young.
At base camp, the oxygen level is half of what it is at sea level. At this altitude, it's only 1/3. The body is shutting down. The mind is losing focus. No human being can survive more than a few days above the death zone. Dudu is tired but confident that he'll make it to the summit. Beside him is a 7,000-foot drop into the Rongbuk Glacier. The climbers need a boost of oxygen to get them to Camp 3. Without it, they could lose fingers and toes due to frostbite.
We made it to Camp 3. 4:30 in the afternoon. Bloody lucky it was a nice day. Again, yet again. There's still people coming down from the summit as well. Just a little bit of oxygen goes a long way.
I don't believe that I'm here. I mean, what a present from God. Really.
One of those interviews of yours, I told you that for me getting to 8,000 liters is definitely, like Dudu said, it's good enough. Anything above that is a bonus. So tomorrow we're gonna have such a bonus.
The peace climbers will sleep for a few hours. Then in darkness, they'll make their last push for the top. 2 Israelis, 2 Americans, a New Zealander, a South African, and 6 Sherpas will attempt to reach the summit by daybreak. The climbers prepare themselves for 3 exposed rock steps they need to navigate to get to the summit. It would be difficult climbing at sea level, but above 28,000 feet, it can be deadly. There are dozens of bodies in the basin below them, including that of George Mallory. In the death zone, every step is exhausting, but the climbers must keep going. If they don't start their descent by noon, they risk storms with winds of up to 100 miles per hour. On the last leg of the summit push, there is a deep drop beside the climbers. If they slip, they'll fall 10,000 feet down the Kangshung face. At approximately 7 a.m., Lance receives the radio call that some team members have reached the summit.
Summit! On the summit of the Everest now, so me and Dudu.
You and Dudu are on the summit?
Yes, we are very happy on the summit.
I can't believe we did it.
You did
I don't
it.
know what to say.
You did it.
Okay.
Woo.
Hi Micha, congratulations. I'm really happy for you. I was worried for a while, but now my happiness is complete. Congratulations to you and to your family. I hope you take care on the way down.
On the way I had a few breaking points, but I just said I had to go for Alia. So you're also here. I love this. I love. Woo!
Dudu, my friend, congratulations. I really feel very happy for you.
Ali, now I'm with the Israeli and the Palestinian flag. I'm going to take a picture. You are not here, but the flag is here. And this is my present for you, my friend.
You made my day, Dudu. This one, you made my day. I really appreciate it, and everybody will appreciate this moment. I feel like you are my brother, Dudu. You are really my brother. Thank you very much for what you're doing. Enjoy the view. Take care coming down at the maximum care.
The climbers set off on the most dangerous leg of the journey, getting down. More people die on the descent than any other part of the climb. The biggest danger now is exhaustion.
Jamie to ADC, over.
Hey Jamie, this is Lance, over.
Sally's on a one-way trip, over.
What does that mean? Over.
He's exhausted himself. We're moving slowly, but I'm having to hit him to get him down. It's not a question of dex or anything.
Can we send one of the Sherpas up to help, over?
You don't know the terrain, no. He's got to get himself down if he can, and he'll be pushing it.
Sally has collapsed just 75 vertical feet below the summit. Up here, a rescue is nearly impossible.
The terrain below where I am is horribly tricky. You have to walk along 6-inch ledges. If he can't do it himself, he's in a pile with the Indian as well.
The climbers do not have the strength left to carry Sally down the mountain. If Sally is unable to walk the rest of the way to Camp 3, he'll die.
Wait with another Sherpa also, but I don't think we can get him down, over.
Sally's brain is shutting down. Jamie decides to give him dexamethasone, a steroid that can act like a shot of adrenaline. Jamie also hopes it will stop Sally's brain from swelling.
So Sally, I've just given you 8 milligrams of dexamethasone. We've just given you 2 cliff shots, some sweets, some energy. You're eating a Mars bar. Come on, you gotta live, you gotta keep going, yeah? You need energy.
Sally, if you can hear me, man, get off your ass and move. You understand? This is your life.
You heard Lance. Come on. For God, for your family, for your friends, and for your girlfriend. Keep moving. You hear me? Yeah, I can see you hear me. Keep moving.
Look at God. Ask God for help and come down. It's only a few meters you have to walk.
The weather, always a factor on Everest, may change. They must get down the mountain as soon as possible.
I'm coming out of continuous. Please come down.
Namgal, thank you very much. You've got oxygen, right? Over.
Yeah, I'm going out there with oxygen, over.
After summiting Everest only a few hours earlier, Namgal is back at Camp 3, almost 2,000 feet below. He will climb back up to the second step with oxygen and hot drinks for Sally. For most people, this would be physically impossible. Sally is improving, but he's still moving very slowly.
Sally's picked up very slightly. He's down where we told him to turn back now. And it is actually worth it, sending up some hot drinks and oxygen. There's a chance you might get down. Only a small chance.
I'll take it.
Sally's now just descending the first step, so there's only one more difficulty before camp. Over.
That's really good news. Thank you so much, Jamie, for risking your life. Over.
We're not home yet.
Thanks to Jamie and Namgyal's heroic efforts, Sele is able to get down to a safer altitude.
Sele, okay?
Yeah, he said my name.
Can you hear me, Sele?
Lance.
Hey, man. Very good.
From the North Col, Sele is carried back to advanced base camp by 15 Sherpas.
The other hand's going to be a problem. There we go.
Great job. You can hold on to me if you want, all right? My name's Anne. Okay? All right. I'm just going to take it nice and slow. I'm going to get you into a sleeping bag. There's lots of hot water bottles. Lots of drinks.
You're doing great, Sele.
All right, Sally. That's it. Just get your breath. You're okay. It's okay. I know. You're all right now. You're right.
We're back.
After his 36-hour ordeal, Sele begins the long recovery process. The remaining team members descend from the higher camps.
I told you I'd get you to the top, although you got yourself to the top. Amazing, man. You were the strongest guy, the first one there, first one back.
The video, you can see there's some blebs starting to form here.
Sele may lose his fingers to frostbite.
So I think we should...
Everything is being done to save them.
For me, success was just getting people to base camp, this unique, multicultural team, and having one person reach the summit would be icing on the cake. And we summited 10, and that was way beyond my wildest dreams.
On the summit, we got a radio from Dudu. He said, I raised the Palestinian flag for you, Ali. I just, raised the flag, and it was really an act of friendship for Ali. I feel very happy that I did it.
Micha came on the radio, and he started crying a little bit, and he said, Ollie, I wanted to quit a couple of times on the way to the summit, but for you, I decided to keep on going, to dedicate this climb to you.
Probably the best teamwork has really been between Dudu, Micha and Ali. They really have been quite a solid team, a surprisingly good team that work well together, that understand each other. And I really think we're dealing with some quite seriously different cultures. In many different ways, they've done a great job.
Micha, Dudu and Ali, they all really bonded. And I think they proved that when people are united together and striving for a common goal, that their religious, political, and cultural differences don't really matter. And that in an atmosphere of peace and through friendship and teamwork, that people can do amazing things.
10 climbers successfully summited Everest. And more importantly, the Everest Peace Project team reached their goal. They proved that with teamwork, compassion and friendship, incredible things can be accomplished, including climbing the tallest mountain in the world.
1 month after I climbed Everest for peace with my Palestinian friend, I was called to take a part in the war, and I find myself fighting in Lebanon as a soldier. It's actually a terrible feeling to forget about your life and to go and to be a soldier and to fight.
Usually it's much easier for people to get along with each other, even become friends, than it is for nations. If people would think for themselves and learn maybe empathy, I think all those or most of those problems, they would just disappear. They would cease from being. If this would change now, then maybe the next generation would be better.
To lose friends and to be killed in such a stupid war. Because it's really a stupid war. I mean, it's not that we really hate each other or something. It's really a stupid war, yeah.
What we have seen in the Middle East is violence and war is not the solution, for it only brings about suffering and pain on both sides. Ultimately, I believe people just want to live in peace.
Although we have our differences, we're gonna stay friends forever.